Hello and welcome back to the New England All Model Railway. In this video we'll be reviewing the Hornby Ruston 48DS and flatbed wagon. This locomotive was purchased by me last year for a price of 99 and 95p at Lord and Butler. This is the smallest locomotive in my whole collection, and it is a very interesting locomotive. It's time to take the locomotive out of the box and onto the turntable to see the many and various beautiful details this locomotive has to offer. Here it is for Hornby 48DS on the turntable with its flatbed wagon. Considering that the size of its locomotive, the amount of detail in the livery of it alone is truly mind-blowing. In other liveries which I have seen of this model, the details are truly spectacular. The amount of details on it just puts other bigger locomotives to shame. You can actually run this locomotive without the flatbed wagon. There are couplings in the options bag which allow you to have the ability to disconnect the flatbed wagon and have it operating around the layout by itself. But in my opinion and my experiences of running it so far on the layout, I would recommend you just to leave the flatbed wagon on, because on some layouts it might be possible to have it going around without the flatbed wagon. On my layout, it definitely needs to have its flatbed wagon. One downside to this little locomotive is if you want to maintain the locomotive running beautifully around the layout, you have to make sure that the wheels are cleaned on a continuing daily process. So basically, if you're finished using it around your layout, I would recommend you just to simply clean its wheels, and that will easily maintain this beautiful locomotive. Now we'll go up a little bit closer so we can see the details up at a better angle. And here it is, even closer up, so we can view the details. I zoomed in the camera so everyone gets a good chance of seeing these magnificent details. The lining, for a locomotive this small, it has lining on the wheels, lining around the cab, etched name plates, which are so beautifully detailed and so easily read. You can easily read it. If you hold it in your hand, you could easily read the details, or if you're looking at it going around the layout, you could easily read the writing on the side, which is Queen Anne. And in my opinion, this is the best livery for the model. If I turn the model just for a moment, you could see the front end continues on this beautiful detail. The radiator, it may not be an etched plate or metal radiator, but considering the size of this locomotive, you have to give some leniencies and letting off for. And the beautifully written name Ruston on the radiator is beautifully painted. The buffers lining is basically, it's hard to say my opinion on this little locomotive because it's such a mind-blowing beauty. and if we turn around to the back area of the locomotive again, exceptional detail, just simple exceptional. A lot of the manufacturers these days are now just about catching up with Hornby when it comes down to the details. But they are giving a good try. I know Batman does pretty good, excellent details on some of their locomotives. On its model, there's only one bit of a downside, and that is the flatbed wagon. And you can understand why it needs to be there, because for such a small locomotive, there are not enough pickups for it to operate properly and efficiently. I can put it with the fact that there's a wire connecting between the flatbed and the loco. Well, if you wish to disconnect them, as I said, you can easily do so, but that will reduce the reliability of the locomotive by somewhat. But it is a pretty good locomotive either way. It has been proven by various YouTubers that how good it can be on its pulling strength. But the only bit of detail problems I have is on the flatbed itself, but some say it's not really bad, it has bad detail. It's pretty good for my opinion of this model. It is an old tooling for a flatbed wagon. It comes with its own individually couplings for it. In my opinion, that's just a bit of a disappointment. It couldn't put a simple modern tension lock coupling, which is up to date. But hey, I'm just rambling. Now it's time to tell the history of the Ruston shunter. Over 200 of the Ruston 48 DSs were built between 1937 and 1967, becoming immediately popular for small industrial sites who couldn't afford the expense of a steam locomotive shunter or work with hazardous materials where a locomotive would be unsuitable. The design was also supplied to the War Department, and various different versions of the locomotive were made in different gauges, were also supplied around the world. Now it's time to take this beautiful little locomotive down to the track and let it show us what it's made of. There it is, for Hornby Ruston 48 DS and flatbed, ready to show us what it's made of. For its running session, I thought it would be very appropriate to go with a industrial locomotive style for its running session. Running with the Hornby 48 DS today is these custom wagons. I purchased them from the GLR Bespoke Services from my good friend Alex, who 3D prints these beautiful little wagons. For a price of £9 per wagon, they're beautifully designed, beautifully made, based off wagons from the Tally Flynn. I have painted them in this lovely colour myself, but if you do decide to purchase one, they usually are in a basic black, so you can paint them in any colour you see fit. With these wagons, it has an L&R brake van, Accompanying the Hornby Ruston 48DS is this, the Hornby Packet B2 with some mineral wagons and an LMS brake van. And on the first line is the Hornby 08 Shunter Phantom with some bread and milk vans, as well with a Great Western brake van. This should be an excellent running session. Now it's time to let these beautiful locomotives show us what they are made of. Well, that turned out to be a truly splendid running session. The Hornby Ruston 48DS is a truly magnificent little locomotive, and I would heavily recommend it. It fits perfectly on layouts of all shapes and sizes. It's just a sight to behold, and even for its current price, which is just about over £100, it's still a worthy purchase. As well as that, these little wagons from my good friend Alex at the GLR Bespoke Services, £9 per wagon, an excellent deal and bargain. That concludes my review of the Hornby Ruston 48DX. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like, share and subscribe to the Lone Ranger Motoring channel. And if you have any ideas for anything that is possible for myself in the future, please leave a comment and I'll consider it for the future for possible ideas. Now, with that said and done, see you next time.